Hi guys, I'm Matt Winton, the 2021 World Brewers Cup champion. I've been working with SIBARIST for a little bit over a year now, and together we've created this cool product, the Booster. This one was a bit of a brainchild after we started to explore different concepts of brewing and particularly with the B3 paper, how we noticed that the flow through the paper filter had a really big effect. We created the Booster as a way to boost your extractions. Potentially it's an increase in extraction, but more so boost the evenness of extraction. What we have here is essentially lots of contact points. And now I've done some videos on the internet already explaining contact points, which you'll be able to find, and we'll go through it very briefly here. But what we're looking for is a place where the paper filter touches the wall and then doesn't touch. So think touching, then not touching, touching, then not touching. This is how the V60 works, where you have these ridges and the paper is going to be touching the ridges, but not the rest of the wall. By touching these areas, then not touching the wall, touching the area, not touching the wall, we're actually going to find that you have flow right at the points where it's touching and then not touching. Touching and then not touching. This is actually where we have the most flow through a paper filter. If you think about a paper filter being fully on a wall, totally adhered with zero gaps, no overlaps, in that perfect case, you'll have very low flow because it's totally stuck to the wall. At the same instance, if you have it not touching anything, you just pick up a paper filter and hold it, it will run a lot slower than if it's, for example, inside of a dripper. So here at the bottom where there is an open hole, you're not going to have a lot of flow. It's going to be less flow there. So where is the flow? And the answer is right at this point here, where it's touching and then not touching, where it's got something to have contact with the paper filter and then it's open. This is something also known as capillary flow and also has to do with a bit of pressure behind the wall. But these are complicated scientific terms. We don't need to go into it too much. Just think touching, not touching, touching, not touching. And that is essentially what led us to make the Booster. It started off as this idea that you can have lots and lots of contact points, and we had experiments with different sizes, holes, different shapes, holes, and in the end, we settled on this size here. It was something that was the fastest and the most even, without being too small that you weren't able to use it with certain paper filters. It's so simple to use. You simply pop it in the dripper, and then you place your paper filter on top of it. It sits below the paper filter. And that many contact points here at the bottom is going to enhance the evenness of flow. You're not going to have points where it's choking. You're not going to have points where it's stalled. It'll still be an even flow through the bed. Particularly on something like an arraya where there's a 45mm base and a flat wall, you're able to use this to really push the extraction super high while maintaining lots of clarity and very clean taste and no dryness. The other way that we like to use this is in the hybrid paper filter. This 22mm mesh is the type that's going to fit very nicely in your conical drippers. This is going to have the same effect like in the flat, but as you put it in, it will sit underneath the paper filter, and when you use with the hybrid paper, you're going to have an increased evenness at the base of the bed and a slightly faster drawdown due to the many contact points underneath the bed of the coffee. To me, this gives us the ability to increase our extractions if we want to, because we know there's not going to be the same type of choking that you might get otherwise. I like to use that style with the hybrid and the 22mm Booster for more natural coffees, and we've used this at several competitions around the world. It's done a really great job and we super enjoy it. So this idea and concept of contact points to help our drawdown through the bed can be applied to many different areas. And there's also other products that work in different type of drippers like the AeroPress, or also other types of drippers coming out soon. Thank you so much for watching. And I hope that this helps you understand a little bit about why the Booster works the way it does and how it can help you get more consistent and tastier brews.